Good evening, France.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Retro Pop Planet, and welcome to an absolutely gorgeous Labor Day weekend here in Northern Virginia. And this is also the weekend where, is this the 4th or 5th British invasion? The Oasis tour is finally coming to the US. Unfortunately, I don't have a ticket and they're not playing anywhere near me, but it led me to a deep dive into Oasis concerts in the Northern Virginia area in the time where they were the biggest band in the world. Now, I believe their first show was in 1994 at the 930 Club in Washington, D.C. This was the Definitely Maybe tour. They were still relatively unknown. As a high school kid, we were still very much into grunge, even though Nirvana had disbanded. We still were very much into sort of the Seattle rockers. We hadn't quite caught on yet to all of the rock bands that were surfacing in the UK. Now, I was aware of British pop because my cousin, who's a couple years younger than me, she used to rip tapes for me and send me tapes of Take That, a band which wasn't very popular in the United States. She also used to send me cuts of Robbie Williams, who I believe was every young girl's favorite performer. But on March 6th, of 1996, Oasis played a show in Fairfax, Virginia, on the campus of George Mason University, the Patriot Center, now known as Eagle Bank Arena. And because it's such a gorgeous day, I just decided to take a drive over here and let's just do a, little walk and talk around the stadium. Now, this was an absolutely insane time in the band's history. In February of 96, they won an award at the Britpop Awards, and they had their very public feud with Blur was out in full display. What's the Story Morning Glory had exploded onto the UK charts, and it also exploded onto the charts here in the US. I mean, everyone that I knew had the album, and I think it's a masterwork. It's an absolutely incredible album. But everybody wanted a piece of Oasis. And so when I did some research, I saw that they played a show here in 1996, less than a month after those Britpop Awards. And just a few short months would be playing their very biggest show, Nebworth, that had like 100,000 plus people at the show. It was totally sold out. Now, when I was in high school and pretty much all growing up, this was the venue that you would come to. They had all of the biggest acts. Harlem Globetrotters play here. You'd have wrestling. Raw comes here. You had all the World on Ice, the Feld Entertainment, the Disney World on Ice, and the Ringling Brothers would come here. You'd have circuses that would come here in the parking lot. Of course, the George Mason University basketball teams play here. But also some of the biggest bands in the world all performed here at one time or another. I mentioned this before in other videos, but Foo Fighters have played here several times. When I was in high school, probably the best concert I've ever been to was actually the Beastie Boys. It was the Sabotage tour, and John Spencer Blues Explosion opened for them. That was just a year before. That was May of 1995. I saw Stone Temple Pilots play here with the Meat Puppets as their opening act. I've seen Muse here, I've seen Incubus here, and the one band that have played here multiple times that I regret not having seen is, of course, Oasis. If you are a Sirius XM subscriber, the channel Lithium is actually playing Britpop all weekend, and they've been rerunning the Nebworth concert, which is awesome. And I also I watched it again on YouTube. It's an incredible show. So the reason that I wasn't at that concert is because it was the spring of my freshman year of college, and I went to a large school in a tiny mountain town, and we really didn't have much culture in Blacksburg, in the Christiansburg area. The closest shows that we had were Roanoke. I don't think Oasis played at Roanoke. I remember one of the largest acts to come there in my undergrad was No Doubt and Bush. And this is also in the time very much sort of at the very dawn of the internet, where if you remember, or if you don't know, you couldn't buy concert tickets online like you can now. And what you would have to do, you would have to go to a local music store and either wait in line, which I did on numerous occasions. In high school, I actually missed out on Tom Petty tickets because they sold out. And I remember there was a line outside of the Kemp Mill Music. That's where we used to get our tickets. And it just was really tough. You had to know somebody that was going to either camp out, or you had to wait in line to get a ticket, or you would have to call companies that would do ticket sales, and good luck getting through the lines on those as well. So, and also, we didn't have credit cards. I was too young for a credit card. Debit cards didn't exist. It was really hard to go to a concert back in the day. Now, the more that I think of it, I remember being totally bummed out about Beastie Boys being sold out. We tried to get tickets, but they just sold out. Turned out a friend of mine who I went to prom with, his girlfriend's sister actually worked here at the box office, notified us the morning after prom that 400 floor tickets opened up, and we were able to come over here around 2 or 3 in the afternoon and get tickets for that night's show. And being stuffed down there on the floor as a pretty fit and healthy 18-year-old, I was gassed. I believe this ticket office is relatively new. I know this whole section is new. Now you have to go inside and get your tickets. But where we came to purchase those tickets was this little tiny window right here. Now these lockers, of course, were not here, but this is where we came. We met the friend or the sister or whatever of the girl that we had gone to prom with, and that's where we bought our ticket for the Beastie Boys. But that's how you used to have to do it. So this arena seats roughly 9,000, 9,400, something like that. But for concerts, they generally set the stage up on one side of the arena, which means they have to basically get rid of all of those seats that are behind the stage. So you're losing maybe 2,000 seats or something like that. And this concert was no different. They only played to 5,500 people, if you can believe that. That seems insane now, because they were on the cusp of becoming the biggest band in the world. And again, Nebworth had over 100,000 people at it. Luckily, somebody posted that show online, and I watched it last night, and it's a great performance. The video quality isn't so hot, but the audio quality is actually not that bad. It does a weird bit though, where the audio sometimes focuses on the band and other times focuses on the crowd. But I think that works out because you can really hear how hyped everyone is. I mean, the fans are going nuts. And when they zoom in on those first couple rows or 10 rows of fans, people are like moshing and slam dancing. It looks insane. It looks like there's entirely too many people down there stuffed to the stage. The security actually has to keep like manhandling people and throwing them back into the crowds because they're getting a little too close to the stage. The absolutely hilarious thing about the show is the entire time Liam has no idea where they are.
We're in Fairfax. Fairfax. Cat! Cat! Mouse! Dog! Supersonic!
He keeps saying, I have no idea where we are. And Noel corrects him at one point and says, we're in Fairfax, Virginia. He says, Fairfax, what? Fairfax? And it kind of goes on. It's a little bit of an Abbott and Costello routine. It's hard to know if Liam is hammered or if he's, on something, or if he's just doing a bit. But it's pretty funny. At one point, he calls the crowd Fairfaxians. He said, hello, Fairfaxians. At another time, Noel just simplifies it and says Washington. And so then Liam goes off on that and says, hello, Washington, D.C. But it's pretty short. There's not a lot of interaction actually with the audience. They just basically, Liam does his thing where he He names the song, and then they just play the song. It's a very brisk hour and 33-minute concert. They do play all the hits that the fans wanted to hear. They play stuff from Definitely Maybe. Of course, they play a lot of stuff from What's the Story, Morning Glory. They play some pretty nice renditions of Champagne Supernova and a seated Wonderwall with acoustic set with just Noel on the stage. It's a really, really nice show. And then they end it with a very long Beatles cover, I Am the Walrus. That basically is the end of the show. There is no encore. It just ends from there. And I keep showing you this. This is where the tour buses actually come in. The tour buses and then all the support vehicles with the equipment and stuff. And the buses always park in here, and then they close these gates. So anytime there's a major performance, the buses will park up in this section here, and the bands enter through the doors over here. There is a cargo bay door there, so the big stuff can get pushed through there. And then generally on this side of the stadium, I believe, because all the green rooms and stuff are down here, the stage, the back of the stage is on this side, and they would be performing out to that direction, if you kind of get my drift. Now, my brother works here for Mason basketball. He does a lot of Mason basketball games, so he's told me a little about the green room, and apparently it's very small. And most bands, as they roll through here, basically just come to town for that one show, and then they move on. Usually that night. Sometimes the bands will come in, and then they'll go to the next tour date, a day or two later, either in like North Carolina or New York City or Pennsylvania. But they don't generally overnight when they're staying out here in Fairfax. If you're a performer, it probably would be really disorienting to play a show here, because you come in just off the main road over here, and we're not too far from the highway. So if you're on a tour bus, you're probably not really paying attention to where you are. And if the bus, pulls in over here and just stops and you just go right into the stadium, it's probably really disorienting. I couldn't imagine life on the road like that. It's got to be really tough, and especially if you're coming from another country and it's maybe your second tour through the United States. It's got to be a complete whirlwind, and that year was an absolute whirlwind in Liam and Noel's lives. And you can see just up the path here from the stadium, you've got this really pretty duck pond, and campus is like right here. So many acts have performed here. This is a really huge tour spot in the 80s because it was a brand new venue. I believe it was built in the early 80s. I found out something recently which I find pretty interesting, and it was from a former usher. And that is, it's either operated or owned by Monumental Sports, which is Ted Leonsis' company. He, of course, owns the Washington Wizards, the Washington Capitals, and Monumental Sports is basically the company that, operates big performances. They were the ones that were in negotiations with the Virginia delegation to try to bring the Washington Capitals to Virginia. I think this used to be a privately owned company until the owner passed away, and that's how I found this out, is because that former usher worked for the former owner, and when he died, they threw a giant celebration of life event here. Now, the reason this used to be known as the Patriot Center is because, of course, that is the mascot for the university. And if you're a big basketball fan like I am, then you'll remember the 2006 Final Four team, which is still remembered today. And we almost won the A-10 last year, which was really kind of disappointing. But the women won the A10 for the first time ever. I never got to see Oasis perform here, and I think they performed 2 other times here in the early 2000s and right before the band broke up, which we thought was going to be the permanent breakup until this reunification tour or whatever you want to call it. I heard today they might be doing a new album, which sounds awesome. I think the world is ready for that type of rock music again. But this concert that my friend went to still is, we talk about it today, we still laugh about it, because I think this was in 2009 he came here, and he still complains to this day that they refused to play Wonderwall, and the crowd was really upset, and my friend is actually still really upset about it today. He feels like he got robbed out of getting to hear Noel sing Wonderwall. I don't know if the band was just being real chippy, and they were really, at that point, from everything I've read about or listened to in podcasts, they were pretty much done with each other at that point. I should mention that the grunge band Luster opened the show. They had 2 songs on the Empire Records soundtrack, and according to the March 8th concert review in the Washington Post, they brought strong vocals and fresh pop melodies to the now familiar formula of distorted guitar riffing, staccato bass notes, and constant cymbal crashes. But if you were at the 94 show, if you were at this 96 show, if you were at any other show here, heck, if you saw them this weekend, please leave a comment. Let me know what your experiences were. Go back, and I'll leave a link actually to the concert here. I think several people have posted it, so I don't know if it was officially recorded by the university itself. From the angle of the cameras, it could be, although the video that I watched last night, at one point later in the video, the guy's hand covers it, so I think he was illegally recording it. I don't know how he got away with that, because he would have had to have like a big camcorder, because this is pre-cell phones, this is pre-GoPro, anything like that. He probably would have had to have like an actual camcorder sitting on his lap. That's insane. But if you like this video, please make sure to give it a like. If you like this kind of content, retrospectives, anything music related, I've got a bunch of videos on my channel you might enjoy. I've done Foo Fighters videos from this same location. I did a whole Dave Grohl series that you might be interested in. Please feel free to subscribe if that's the case, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Wait, how does Ringo do it, and Liam as well? Peace and love.